Now the man of the moment is sitting on my left side. He is one director in our film industry, the Bengali film industry, who is a thorough gentleman, which is a rarity, I must tell you. মানে আমাদের এটা খুব একটা বিরল প্রজাতির ব্যাপার বাংলা ছবির জগতে. He keeps his words, he keeps his time, he keeps to the timeline. He always saves the producer, which is very very important. মানে এই একজন ডিরেক্টর, আমি অনেক ডিরেক্টরের সঙ্গে কাজ করেছি as an actor or in other capacities, but this is one director who thinks of the producer first and then his own self, which is fantastic. He is known as Tathagata to many, Tathagata to friends like us. He is a thorough gentleman. So like, if you have to describe Tatha apart from being a creative warrior, he's very very gentlemanly. Okay, so this first part of the entire evening is dedicated to Tathagata's fight or Tathagata's journey in life. The second part, we would be open for the house. We would like people to come and occupy the third seat. We don't want questions from the house from there. We would like you to be in the arc lights, because this entire episode is being filmed and it will be on YouTube for archive's sake, for students to see, to hear out Tathagata's fight, the struggle, the journey. So Tathagata, the first question, thank you so much for being in this very very aptly named Beyond the Beaten Track. He has been he could have gone in for a corporate job. He's very highly educated. He could have been maybe an IAS officer, but Tathagata chose a different beaten track. He didn't really get into the regular line, the regular path. He has built up a path of his own, and his journey has been, I'm sure, full of a lot of ups and downs. So Tathagata, you complete 30 long years, very meaningful years in your filmy career, in your film, the journey as a film director. So tell us, from the beginning till Akorik, what has been the realization?
First of all, thank you, Abhishek, for your kind words. Secondly, I would like to thank Shonali, my dear friend, Wisdom Cafe, Wisdom Tree Cafe, for organizing this. And thank you all, the audience who are here, because this is something which we wanted to do for a long time. It's not about me, it's about people like me. Those who want to follow the beaten track or offbeat track, whatever you call. 30 years, it seems a long time, but to me, it seems like only yesterday. Yes, I could have followed something more easy, you can say. But I chose this field because I don't know why I chose this field. Maybe I had it in me, or I don't know. Now, if I look back, a lot of things can come, So no point discussing that. Rather, I would like to say that, yes, I started since 1994, and I started very young. And in these last 30 years, I have done only films, films alone. Events also which related to films. So the journey has been like for any filmmaker, ups and downs, struggles, successes, failures, very challenging. But what I would like to cherish is that filmmaking has always been my passion. That I could make this my profession is something I cherish the most. And I am proud of just one fact. I don't know whether I have made good films or bad films, or different films or indifferent films. I am proud of only one fact. Whatever I have done in films, may it be feature films, as you must be knowing, I do a lot of corporate films, ad films, short films. I am not limited to feature films only. I've done all kind of films for the last 30 years. I am just proud of just one thing. Whatever I have done with absolute honesty. That's the one thing I'm proud of.
Absolutely, Tathagata. As I said in the beginning of, or introducing Tathagata, honesty, compassion, genuinity, all these are his big attributes, and he's famous for all this. In fact, whenever we discuss about Tathagata, these are the things which always come in a discussion. When we always refer to these adjectives or these attributes when it comes to Tathagata Bhattacherjee. I remember I got to know him, I think it was 98, 99, just before, we had associated ourselves to do the first film Tathagata directed, 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊, but that was also a Victor starrer. And after that, we have been great friends. We have done lots of, corporate films, industrial films, portfolios, events, feature films, all together. It has been like a family, and I have learnt a lot from a friend like him. The main part is, again, honesty, keeping at it, and, making the passion really felt through the professional excellence. Tathagata, tell me that you are now a name in the mainstream industry, but your latest film, 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊, is very much beyond the beaten track. It is an offbeat film, and it has a different kind of a storyline, which is not the regular commercial masaladar, films we see. I'm sure many of the audience here, they have watched 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊, and they will have their feedbacks too. So, how did you take up such an offbeat subject, and wasn't it a risk? How did it happen?
Yes, absolutely. Whatever films I've done before are purely mainstream films, commercial films, and you have been a part of all those films. But even in those films, I had the creative sensibilities right. It was not just a run-of-the-mill film, but yes, proper mainstream cinema in Bengali cinema, with dances and songs and action and romance. The typical masala flavors were there, but of course packaged with a different sensibility. Now 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊 is completely out of the box for me, because I never kind of ventured into something offbeat in feature films. I felt that I should say a story which I thought needs to be said. The concept of 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊 being that of the disintegration of the joint family structure into nuclear family structure, further into single parenting. So whether in this process we have become more independent, have we progressed, or have we drifted away from our roots? So I have taken a very neutral take in 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐄𝐊. I have not taken any sides. I tried to communicate the fact that this is what has happened, so whether it is for the good or are we threatened. So this is a concept which I tried to communicate, and I wanted to communicate. So these concepts, these kinds of concepts have to be, kind of an offbeat. If you want to make a film, you can't package the film typically the so-called masala films. You have, because you're kind of addressing a serious issue. You're trying to deliver something which is very sensitive. So the film needs to be offbeat. So I tried. It was just a challenge for me. And thanks to my entire team, my cast, my technical crew, and most important, my producer. Because filmmakers are here and producers also here. Producer is very important. Producer backs a project, and when it is an offbeat film, it becomes more challenging for the director to convince a producer to do, because here money is not the motivation. Creative excellence is the motivation. So I thank my producer of 𝐁𝐄𝐘𝐓𝐿, Iceberg Creations LLP, my co-producer Deepak Parikh. They were very crucial for me. So they somehow kind of got convinced. I'm so happy that they got convinced. They wanted to say this story as well. And I could, get a good cast, good crew, and we made the film. So yes, it's something that I took it as a challenge. I'm so happy it got selected in Kolkata International Film Festival last year. It also went to NFDC Film Bazaar, Goa. We are sending it to other film festivals as well. Nandan, the film is running 4th week now. We have completed 25 days. So people have responded, good or bad, whatever, but people have responded. We are getting good reviews. We are getting good ratings. So I feel this film will have a long shelf life. But yes, it definitely has been a challenge for me, and definitely quite risky.
So here's a man who's also not, really doesn't shake to take the risks at the right moment. and obviously it has been beyond the beaten track. Tell me one thing, Tathagata, Victor is a very cerebral actor, and he has worked with all the very top-notch international directors too. Rituparna comparatively, Rituparna also is a national award-winning film actress, but comparatively she is more from the commercial mold. When you narrated Akurik's essence of the story to her, or the script to her, what was her first reaction?
Well, she was very excited. I never worked with her before, though I knew her for a long time. Victor Banerjee, of course, you know that we have been apart. My first film, Antarghat, which released in 2001, starred Victor Banerjee in the lead. So with Victor Banerjee, I share a tremendous relationship. So convincing him was not very difficult. He said yes at one go. Yes, Rituparna Sengupta definitely is a mainstream artist, but at the same time, she has done many offbeat films also, with Aparna Sher, with Rituparna Ghosh, with other award-winning directors. She herself is a national award winner. I tried to kind of communicate to her that I want to do a film with absolute honesty. I want to do a film which is offbeat. I want to do a film which I feel is a crisis to the Bengali community all over the world. That this disintegration, this moving away, I feel it's a crisis. So I want to address. So I need interpreters. So if you become one of the interpreters, I'll be very happy. She said, yes, I'm going to do it. So it happened that way. Rest of the cast also, So yes, it happened. It's happened. I'm so lucky it happened.
Those who have seen Akurik will see that the beautiful locales of the outdoors also has a character, or it adds to the storyline. And now tell me, Tathagata has also been, those who know one part of Tathagata as the commercial or the mainstream director does not know, or maybe knowing, that he has been a great support to independent filmmaking also. There are a few independent filmmakers here. I am one. And Tathagata and I, and we have a big team in Jamshedpur. There's a friend from Jamshedpur, Himadri here. So in Jamshedpur and also in Kolkata, many short film festivals, many independent film making platforms Tathagata has led. So what is your take on independent filmmaking, and what is your message to independent filmmakers? Maybe if they are interested to come to mainstream, is it the right time with beyond the beaten track ideas, offbeat ideas? What will be your take on that?
First, let's come to the mainstream cinema, Bengali feature films. I feel as a director, this is the time to tell stories which are different, and tell stories differently. Offbeat films, according to me, has tremendous prospects because the audience wants to watch offbeat cinema. See, for the last 2-3 years, whatever mainstream Bengali films have clicked, rarely it has been a purely mainstream cinema. If you take the case of Aparajito or Bela Shuru or Tonic, Ballabpur, recently Projapati, they are not typical mainstream films. They are offbeat cinema. Okay, even the stars also, they also have portrayed themselves differently. So I feel that offbeat cinema is definitely very prospective today. But you need a producer to back it. You need to know how to market the film. There's a lot of other challenges. But yes, it's definitely, I feel it has prospects. That does not mean that mainstream commercial cinema has no prospect. That will stay forever. But offbeat cinema now has potential in Bengali cinema. Since we are talking Bengali cinema. So, independent filmmaking, that's very important, because if you have to propagate offbeat films, firstly you have to think independently. You have to work independently. So, and at the same time, you must know that if I have to tell a story and I don't have a producer or a financer to back my story, I have to do it independently. So, whether it's through a short film or a kind of short feature film or a full-length feature film, that is besides the point. But you have to think independently. So even if you get a producer for an offbeat film, it is independent filmmaking, because you have to communicate to the producer anyway that money is not the motivation. But that does not mean that if you make an offbeat film, the producer will lose money. No, that's never the point. But you have to think independently, because now with the OTT platforms, there's nothing called short film or mini short film or long film. Is a film. The duration is important. Even a 10-minute film is a film, because the person who watches that, he or she watches that film. Previously, short films was some kind of treated as a second-class citizen. But now, film is a film. So whether it's a 2-hour film, whether it's a 15-minute film, it depends on the audience. If an audience wants to watch in Amazon a 10-minute film, he has 10 minutes time. So he has to watch. He won't watch like, okay, let me watch a short film or let me watch a feature film. No, film is film today. So every filmmaker should understand that we are filmmakers. So independent filmmaking is an absolute need to kind of create the demand for offbeat subjects and offbeat cinema.
We should really applaud for this, particular remark. Film is a film. Especially, like as I was telling you all, that I have worked with many other directors too, but the ones who are in the mainstream, they have a kind of a step-brotherly or a stepfatherly attitude towards independent filmmakers. Choto film manas. But see, he has been in the mainstream. He's already 4, films, big films, old. But still, Tathagata's love for short films, independent expressions through independent filmmaking is to be really saluted. And we really thank you, Tatha, for being so so supportive about independent filmmaking. As he has said, even in big films, you have to have independence of ideas, independence of expressions. Without independence, you can nearly not narrate the story. So even a very offbeat subject requires a lot of independence of mind to communicate that to the target audience. Tell me, Tathagata, now in the mainstream film directors fraternity, one issue is kind of making many directors having, raise their eyebrows or having a lot of worry factor is the release. The release and the stay in a particular theatre. What's your take on that? Is it a really worry factor now?
It's a big worry, definitely, for all directors. Especially in Bengal. Why especially in Bengal? Because for a long time, Hindi cinema has been very influential in Bengal. Not so much in the South India, where in Tamil Nadu the priority is Tamil cinema. In Andhra Pradesh, the priority is Telugu cinema. Similarly, Malayalam cinema, Kannada cinema, So that's very important. In Maharashtra, Marathi cinema is tremendously in priority. In Punjab, Punjabi cinema. So, but here in Bengal, Hindi cinema has been tremendously influential. I'm not talking about the South Indian cinema, because South Indian cinema is of late that they have been dubbed in Hindi, and maybe after Bahubali some films have. So that's now an addition to the threat. But the initial threat never was South Indian cinema. The threat was always Hindi cinema. Now this threat became bigger and bigger due to the fact that very many single screen theaters got shut down, closed. Those theaters only used to run Bengali films, I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s. And those Bengali films were super hits, silver jubilees, golden jubilees. They never used to run Hindi films. Now those cinema halls got shut down, because they could not fight this multiplex culture, the multiplex era, what we call, that flowed in. Now, with the multiplexes on, they definitely prefer Hindi cinema, because they have more footfalls, they have tremendous establishment costs. So, since the viewers for Hindi cinema is more, multiplex would definitely prefer Hindi films. But now the threat is maximum, because even the existing single theaters, they also are running Hindi films if a big Hindi film is coming, and they are not giving importance to Bengali films. So we actually do not have any dedicated theatre or a cinema hall to run Bengali films only. Suppose a Hindi film comes, they take all the 4 shows or 3 shows, and we are left with nothing. And even if we kind of beg or do something, we are given a wrong show or a wrong timing. So we don't have Bengali cinema today. Really doesn't have dedicated halls only for Bengali films. And I cannot also blame the exhibitors because they also have to run theaters. This COVID era has kind of messed up everything. They suffered huge losses, so they can't say no to a Hindi film because that gives them more revenue. So it's kind of a situation where we have to fight. We have to make better films. We have to really kind of raise our bar so that somehow we can make the audience understand that we also make good films. Because see, if the audience comes to see a Bengali film, then we will survive. If the audience says no, we won't pay to watch a Bengali film, we'll watch it on television or OTT, but we will pay for a Hindi film, or now we will pay for a South Indian dubbed film. So unless we make the audience realize that if you don't pay to watch a Bengali film, you won't be able to watch a Bengali film in OTT or television as well, because we won't be able to make Bengali films. So this has to be a realization, and it has to be a collective effort from the producer's end, from the director's end, from the distributor's end, from the exhibitor's end, from the audience's end. But we are definitely at a threat. But that does not stop us from making films. That will never bog us down. We as directors will continue to make films. We have to kind of fight it out, and the battle is fully on.
Absolutely, we have to fight it out. In fact, Akurik has made 4 weeks in Nandon, and Nandon is a prized location for any Bengali film now. Very, very big directors are also deprived of Nandon. So Tathagata's film has been there for its, will be celebrating its 25 days, already celebrated. That's fantastic. So I'm sure this kind of, tenure would go on, and Akurik, whenever, I have been to be there in the Akurik scene or in the screening of Akurik, people were coming out with a lot of, many cameras were there. So they shared their heart out to the cameras also. And they came out with a lot of, sentiments, lot of feelings. And they said, after a long time, a film has been made which has really made us, feel deep within. Anyway, we have that portion on the latter part of this. So I would come to the last question to Tathagata, but let me tell you to the entire audience, as we had wanted this to be very, very interactive, not only me and him, this seat is there. So after this, please have your questions ready for the director. Please have your feedbacks ready about Akurik or any other questions about independent filmmaking. I'm sure Tathagata would be trying to answer you all. So Tathagata, the last question which I have for you is, 30 years has been a very, very, as you said, I'll fight it out. It has been a fight, I'm sure. Some very pleasant memories, some very challenging contours which you have gone through in the journey. After Akurik, obviously you have critically arrived. Okay, so now tell me, after Akurik, what does Tathagata Bhattacherjee have in store for us, or what are your plans, or you wouldn't like to share that with us? Anything specific?
See, I am just another filmmaker. It's not that, I am a big celebrity or something. I am a worker. So, and every director is a technician first, the celebrity labels or all these don't matter, so because if I have to convince someone to pay to watch my films, so you have to be good at your craft. So otherwise people won't pay to watch your stuff. And anything which comes free of cost is not something to be happy about, You have to make something, so kind. This wonderful cafe that Sonali has made, she will not let this cafe for free, that everyone come and enjoy for free food. No, you have to pay for the food. So she has to kind of create that quality that you pay for the food. So we as directors, we have to make films so that the audience pay, because film making is not a free process. A lot of money is involved. So we have to ensure that it is a commercial process. So my journey will be the same. I will be continuing to make films, whatever comes my way, all kind of films, and till the last day of my life I will be making films because I don't know anything else. I have to make films.
So anyway, I'm sure we can put our hands together for this creative warrior. Let his journey go on. Let his, search for maybe better films, quality films, more different kinds of ideas, communicating to the audience in new avatars. Let that be on. Now the second part we are going to start. You can order your food also, as Tathagata rightly said. The cafe has to run too, so the coffee and the snacks can flow in. You just look at the menu cards, which are, I'm sure, somewhere around you, and you can positively place your order. Yeah, Tathagata.
Before we come to the second part, because we'll be interacting with, since you are here and another cast member also is here of Akurik, so I'll introduce. So first, let me talk about. এবার আমরা একটু বাংলায় বলি, কেন বাংলা ছবি করেছি আমরা। সো না, প্রশ্ন তোমাকে অভিষেক, যে অ্যাজ অ্যান অ্যাক্টর, যেহেতু আকুরিক একটু আমরা অফবিট ফিল্ম বানিয়েছি, নট আ টিপিক্যাল হিরো হিরোইন ফিল্ম, নট আ টিপিক্যাল সং অ্যান্ড ডান্স ফিল্ম। আমাদের চেষ্টা হয়েছে অ্যাজ আ ডিরেক্টর, আমার এটাই চেষ্টা হয়েছে যে অভিনয়গুলো যেন ভীষণ সাবলীল মনে হয়, ন্যাচারাল মনে হয়। সো এইরকম একটা ক্যারেক্টার, ইউ প্লে আ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট ক্যারেক্টার, তো ইউ শেয়ার ইউর এক্সপিরিয়েন্স, এই ধরনের চরিত্র যে করেছো, ন্যাচারালভাবে অ্যাক্টিংটা রাখতে হবে, গ্রাফটা যেন খুব ন্যাচারাল থাকে ওভারঅল ফিল্মের ইফেক্টের জন্য, অ্যান্ড ইউ প্লে আ ফ্ল্যাম্বোয়েন্ট ক্যারেক্টার অলসো। সো সেই ক্যারেক্টারটা সম্বন্ধে একটু বলো, জাস্ট ওই চরিত্র সম্বন্ধে, এবং কীভাবে তুমি অ্যাপ্রোচ করেছো।
হ্যাঁ, এখানে দিব্যেশ বলে যে ক্যারেক্টারটা আমি করেছি, ঋতুপর্ণার একজন ক্লোজ ফ্রেন্ড এবং ঋতুপর্ণার সহকর্মী বলা যেতে পারে। তো আমি সত্যি করিনি, অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমায় তথাগত একটাই ব্রিফ দিয়েছিল, এক লাইনের, যে অভিষেক তুমি রিয়েল লাইফে যা, দিব্যেশ তাই। তুমি সারাক্ষণ ফিল্ম নিয়ে কথা বলছো, ফিল্ম নিয়ে ইভেন্ট করছো, ফিল্ম নিয়ে ফোন করছো, ফিল্ম নিয়ে তোমার হিরোইন বা তোমার ক্রু ডেট চাইছো, একদম তাই করবে। ঋতুপর্ণার সঙ্গে আমার যে কনভারসেশনটা, সেটা একদমই আমি অরিজিনাল লাইফে আমাকে যা করতে হয় তাই। এখানে একটা বিরাট সুবিধা ছিল, ঋতুপর্ণা আমার অনেক বছরের বন্ধু, তো সেই জন্য অবভিয়াসলি সেই একটা যে ঋতুপর্ণা সেনগুপ্তর সঙ্গে অভিনয় করার যে একটা কোল্ড ফিট, সেটা কোনো প্রবলেম ছিল না। তো দ্যাট ওয়াজ আ ভেরি বিগ অ্যাডভান্টেজ। বাট আমাদের প্রথম দিনেই শুটিং হয়, ফার্স্ট মহরতের দিনেই আমাদের শুটিংটা থাকে, এবং ইট ওয়াজ ভেরি এনজয়েবল। অ্যান্ড ঋতু অ্যান্ড আই উই মেট আফটার আ লং টাইম, কারণ ইন বিটুইন আমিও অন্য বিটেন ট্র্যাকে, ও অন্য ট্র্যাকে, সেটা অনেক বছর পর আবার দেখা হলো, সেটা খুবই আনন্দদায়ক ছিল, এবং উই অ্যাগেন রিইউনাইটেড, সেটা বলা চলে। আর তথাগত হচ্ছে এমনই একজন ডিরেক্টর যে খুব একটা ইন্টারফিয়ার করে না অভিনয়ের ব্যাপারে। হি হ্যাজ হিজ কাইন্ড অফ lines or the style ready, but if you do it in your style and it is in sync with whatever he has thought of, he is happy. He's not that যে এইভাবেই করতে হবে। I have worked with তপন সিনহা, I have worked with প্রভাত রায়, I have worked with উৎপলেন্দু। সো ওরা আবার একটু ডিকটেট করে যে না, তোমাকে একটু এইভাবে করতে হবে, এই ব্যাপারটা এরম করো। কিন্তু তথাগত কিন্তু খুব ফ্রি ফ্লো দেয়, তো ইটস ভেরি কমফোর্টেবল টু ওয়ার্ক উইথ হিম। আগেও ওর অনেক কটাতেই আমি অভিনয় করেছি। So it's a very enjoyable experience always working with him, and this was very very pleasant. And যদিও দিব্যেশের স্ক্রিন প্রেজেন্সটা কম, বাট ইট হ্যাজ ক্রিয়েটেড ইম্প্যাক্ট, কারণ আমি দেখলাম যে যারাই দেখেছে তারা বলছে আরে তুই তো কামাল করে দিচ্ছিস। সো আই ওয়াজ জাস্ট অভিষেক গাঙ্গুলি দেয়ার, অনলি আমার ফিল্মের নামটাই হয়ে গেছিল দিব্যেশ।